I move that the committee favorably report the nomination of the Honorable Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. of California to be Secretary of Health and Human Services. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Grassley.
Aye.
Mr. Grassley, aye. Mr. Cornyn.
Aye.
Mr. Cornyn, aye. Mr. Thune.
Aye.
Mr. Thune, aye. Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Scott, aye. Mr. Cassidy.
Aye.
Mr. Cassidy, aye. Mr. Langford.
Aye.
Mr. Langford, aye. Mr. Daines.
Aye.
Mr. Daines, aye. Mr. Young. Mr. Young, aye. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Barrasso, aye. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, aye. Mr. Tillis. Mr. Tillis, aye. Mrs. Blackburn. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Marshall. Mr. Marshall, aye. Mr. Wyden.
No.
Mr. Wyden, no. Ms. Cantwell.
No.
Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, no. Mr. Warner. Mr. Warner, no. Mr. Whitehouse. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Ms. Hassan. Ms. Hassan, no. Ms. Cortez Masto. Ms. Cortez Masto, no. Ms. Warren.
No.
Ms. Warren, no. Mr. Sanders.
No.
Mr. Sanders, no. Ms. Smith.
No.
Ms. Smith, no. Mr. Lujan.
No.
Mr. Lujan, no. Mr. Warnock.
No.
Mr. Warnock, no. Mr. Welch. Mr. Welch, no. Mr. Chairman. Chairman votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the final tally is 14 ayes, 13 nays.
The vote was 14-13. The nomination is reported favorably. We will now turn to other senators who would like to make a statement. Since I asked my Republican colleagues to hold off at the outset, I'll go to the Republican side next. First, Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I voted aye today, and I want to just briefly explain why. I believe in my 65 years, I'll be 65 in August, that Mr. Kennedy will be one of the first people.
We have been
before
watching
who is, in
the
fact,
Senate Finance Committee vote on Robert F. Kennedy's nomination to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. It is very rare these days on Capitol Hill that you go in to a hearing or a business meeting like this and don't really have an idea how it's actually going to land. All eyes were on one senator, Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican of Louisiana, and just 2 minutes before the committee started its vote, Cassidy posted on X, "I've had very intense conversations with Bobby and the White House over the weekend and even this morning. I want to thank Vice President J.D. Vance specifically for his honest counsel. With the serious commitments I've received from the administration and the opportunity to make progress on the issues we agree on, like healthy foods and a pro-American agenda, I will vote yes." You see Cassidy walking out of the hearing room now. The vote was 14-13. This is a major step forward for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, a major victory for the Trump White House and for President Trump himself, for whom Kennedy's endorsement and the coalition that he helped bring in was not only a huge political win, but also has been a focal point of his cabinet selections, clearly the most high profile of them, but also the most endangered until this moment. Here's Bill Cassidy now.
Okay. But what about, you were troubled last week? What changed? What changed? What changed?
Hey, Manu. Manu, it's Phil. Do you have me?
Yes. Yes, I have you, Phil. I don't know if you just caught that. We were just trying to catch up with Bill Cassidy, the key vote, of course, in all of this. I asked him what got him to yes. Remember what happened last week at that Senate Finance Committee hearing? He said he was troubled. He was having a hard time getting to yes because of Robert F. Kennedy's previous views and long-held views about vaccine skepticism, his hedging about whether or not vaccines are linked to childhood autism. Cassidy, a medical doctor, had trouble getting to yes, but something changed. And what changed over the weekend? He did not answer that question just now. He said he's going to speak on the Senate floor at 11:40 a.m. Eastern. He said that watch that. So we'll be watching for those remarks. But he did post on X about his view and about what everyone wanted to know, how he would ultimately vote. That happened just moments before this vote took place. He said he had very intense conversations with the White House this weekend and with Bobby Kennedy Jr. He said he spoke to J.D. Vance as well. He said he had received serious commitments from the administration and the opportunity to, quote, make progress on the issues we agree on, like healthy foods and a pro-America agenda. No mention in that statement about vaccines, no mention about how those concerns that he expressed last week changed. But this vote is decisive, sending this to the Senate floor. And now it'll be up to the full Senate to decide what to do. We do know that there are some senators who have not said what they'll do, the two perennial swing votes, Senators Lisa Murkowski, Senator Susan Collins. What will Senator Mitch McConnell do, himself a childhood polio survivor, someone who believes very strongly in the issue of vaccines, someone who voted against Pete Hegseth for defense secretary on the Senate floor. What will he do? But that's 3 senators. What will some other members who have not said, where will they come down? But at the moment, Republican leadership is very confident in the aftermath of Bill Cassidy's vote to support him going forward, that potentially that he could get confirmed, maybe once again seeing Vice President J.D. Vance do something that is very rare in American history, which is to break a tie in the Senate to confirm a cabinet nominee. We'll see if we get to that point. But at the moment, Bill Cassidy's decision to back this nominee, a huge one that advances this controversial nomination to the Senate floor, and this divided committee, all Democrats voting against this, raising serious concerns about RFK Jr. But at the moment, Bill Cassidy's concerns have been alleviated, Phil.
Hey, Manu, I'm hoping you can shed some light just kind of on what it was like in the room, around the room right now. I was trying to make the point right after the vote. It is very rare that we go into something like this and it's a jump ball. We have no idea which way it's going to go. It's all on one senator. I can think maybe 1 or 2 times in the 15 years I've covered Capitol Hill where it's been like that. What was the sense of things?
Yeah, it was unclear. I mean, look, it was so, perhaps for one reason, one telling sign of how serious the Republican leadership was taking this moment. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, came to witness what was happening inside the room himself. He would have to make a decision on how to proceed if ultimately Cassidy broke ranks and voted against this nomination. He had said that he would be unlikely to try to advance a nomination if a committee decided to vote against any cabinet nominee from going to the floor. So there was a keen interest among top Republican leaders about what ultimately would go down here. But no question about it, a lot of drama in this room. Typically, you're right, we know how members will come down. But Bill Cassidy was struggling. I mean, even as last night, I asked him repeatedly about how he was viewing this. He had not made a decision as of last night. He said he had more conversations into this morning. So we'll see how much his own political future played into this as well. Of course, he faces a primary threat in 2026. He already has angered the MAGA right with his vote to convict Donald Trump in the second impeachment trial. We'll see if that weighed in on any of that. He does not want to weigh in on about what his ultimate calculation was, but whatever assurance he got was enough to get him to yes, which is why Republican leadership and the White House breathing a lot easier now that perhaps their most controversial cabinet pick, clearing a major hurdle and potentially on his way to confirmation by next week, Phil.
Yeah, it's a huge win. Also fascinating, and Senate Majority Leader actually showing up to the vote itself or around the hearing room as it was ongoing. Manu, stick with me. I want to turn to you now, Sanjay Gupta, because look, put the whip counts and the politics and the kind of where the conference dynamics are aside. Manu detailed the struggle that he'd had so well. We saw it publicly play out, certainly privately. We've reported on it. He says in his statement that he was given serious commitments related to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. From a policy perspective, we don't know what those are. He's supposed to lay them out later. What are the types of things, given the concerns you heard him talk about on both a programmatic side, but also on vaccines specifically, would you want committed to by Robert Kennedy?
Well, I think what this seems to have boiled down to, watching the hearings with you last week, Phil, was on one side you have these commitments to make America healthy again, which I think everyone, just about everyone, is supportive of. The idea that we're not very healthy, especially given the amount of money that we spend. On the other side was these conspiracy theories regarding vaccines and autism. And it was, kind of a scale, I think, it seemed in Senator Cassidy's mind, Dr. Cassidy's mind. He talked about it specifically, during the hearings, and I just want you to listen to a little bit of how he framed it last week.
That is why I've been struggling with your nomination. There are issues ultra-processed food, obesity, we are simpatico. We're completely aligned. And as someone who has discussed immunizations with thousands of people, I understand that mothers want reassurance that the vaccine their child is receiving is necessary, safe, and effective. We agree on that point, the two of us, but we've approached it differently. And I think I can say that I've approached it using the preponderance of evidence to reassure, and you have approached using selected evidence to cast doubt.
So I got to tell you, Phil, I doubt that there was any sort of concessions made with regard to vaccines and autism in those private discussions. Just again, from hearing what Robert Kennedy was saying during the hearings, he wasn't conciliatory in the sense that saying, hey, look, I'm willing to change my mind. He did say, show me the studies. But again, the studies have been there. So he's seen the studies and he hasn't changed his mind. So I'm not sure what would. So I don't know what the policy promises that were made to Senator Cassidy, but I think it was on this side of the equation, on the Make America Healthy Again side of the equation, in terms of hopefully reducing costs. I mean, if you look at the cost of healthcare in this country, $4.9 trillion is spent on healthcare, and we have some of the worst results overall in the developed world in terms of mortality and chronic disease and things like that. And the numbers have just been going up, 7.5% increase. So over $14,000 per citizen is spent on healthcare. That is an area that I think everyone agrees needs to come down. And we are very sick. I mean, we have some of the highest levels of chronic conditions, 2 or more chronic conditions. 30% of Americans have that. So these are probably the areas where they found consensus. Phil, my guess is not around vaccines and autism. I think Senator Cassidy was willing to let that go.